Hi and welcome back to Darvanalee Designs Studio. For those that don't know, my name's Nicole and today I am here just doing a little bit of work around the studio, actually just working on my stuff and getting rid of some of my scraps. Alright, so let's get into it. Everybody, and welcome back to the channel. Thank you so much for stopping by. I am doing something a little bit different. I don't normally do this, but I'm just going to work on some stuff today and sort of have a bit of a chit chat with you. So sorry about the camera angle, it's probably the best that I can get it, but today I am going to work on some hexagons for a quilt that I'm doing. I am doing this with Gail from Gail Phillips, Shell_Trails, so Michelle from Instagram. I'm also doing it with Morgana Stitchy Moon 75, and I'm also doing it with Jenny Trask as well. So a group of us are actually all doing the same one. It is this one. I think I talked about this on my floss tube haul the other day, and so I'm going to do a little bit of prep work because I just want to get ahead of the game a bit because I've got a lot going on. So I thought that I would have a chit chat with you, talk to you about the things that I use and how I go about it. And I'm also getting rid of some of my scraps and turning them into some 1-inch ones. Just throw them all over myself. They're slippery little suckers when they don't have fabric on them. So basically, yeah, I'm just going to do a couple of different size hexagons, but to cut my fabric for the smaller ones and even the bigger ones, which are this size, which are 2-inch, I can actually use my AccuQuilt cutter. So I have to cut a few. I'm pretty sure I'm right for white ones, they're all cut, but I do have to cut several colored ones. So I'm using this fabric, Tula Pink fabric, and so I've got to make 4 more of these corners for my quilt. So I'm just going to cut some of them out, and as I said, I have an AccuQuilt cutter here that I use. So I know sometimes it depends where I'm at. If I'm at home like this and I'm just plodding around, I'll use my AccuQuilt cutter. If not, I will just use scissors and mark out with a template because the pattern came with a template that we got. But I've got the hexagon one, and as you can see, the size hexagon I need to use for the quilt fits nicely in there. So I am going to cheat and save my hands a little bit and use the AccuQuilt cutter. And then for the other ones, I don't know which one do I use. This one here, yeah. So the 1-inch ones, I use the middle one, and then I'm also, which I'll do a little bit later on the channel, I'm also going to be doing some smaller ones. I've got a table runner that I seen at the quilt show that I want to do. I didn't want to do it exactly the same, so I'm just using a little bit bigger, but some of the sizes that I'll be using, which I don't think I pulled out, or I've put them back in, they're tiny little ones. So I want to do some 1/4-inch ones. So those ones I will have to cut out myself. I'll make a template out of template plastic and for the cutting of the fabric size, and then I will just wrap it around the little pieces. All right, so I have stuff everywhere at the moment. There's a couple of things that I use. I have done a couple of different methods of attaching the papers to the fabric. One of them you can see, I will link up, I will card up the top for you. It's beginners English paper piecing, and it's just using 1-inch hexagons, and you basically have 7 of them, and you make a little flower and make a little so they're this size here, and so basically I do a different method than gluing with these ones because a lot of time I'm just using scraps, but you can see on the back of that is stitched down, but there's no stitching. There's no stitching on the front, so I don't have to get rid of those baster stitches. And the little hole in the center is so I can just get my chopstick or my tailor's awl, and I just put that in there and then I can just pull it out when I'm ready to. I'm not going to pull it out now because I'm not ready to use it yet. And as you can see, I don't have to worry about glue coming apart or anything like that. So that's generally how I do my little ones. My bigger ones though, however, I'm actually using glue this time, because it will save me a little bit of time. And you can use glue on these ones as well. Like, there's nothing wrong with it. I have this thing where I like to do my hexagons like that, and that's the only way I'll do them, because I'm just weird like that. I don't know, I just like it like that. I think it's the zen of the slow stitching of the fabric around, and then it's the zen of the slow stitching of putting all of them together and whatnot. So yeah, anyway, that's sort of where I'm at with that, and that's why I do it. So yeah, I'm going to do some of them today as well, but for the most part, while I'm with you today, I'll probably just work on doing these hexagons for this quilt. So I have to pick up my fabrics. I'm going to measure the size because I cannot remember it off the top of my head, and I haven't written it. Normally on my AccuQuilt cutters, on the templates, words today, people, words. Normally what I do is I will write on the back of them what size fabric I need to cut for each one. So for this particular one, I would cut, because that ends up being, I think, about a 3-inch square that I need to put on. This one will probably be closer to a 4-inch square. So yeah, I just measure it, and then I work out what size I've got to cut my fabric, and then I'll cut all the different fabrics that I need, and I will just cut squares. And then I generally only cut two at a time, sometimes 3. You can do up to 4 layers with this. And I will leave a link for everything that I used today down in the description box, and then that way you can grab hold of them. So one other thing that I wanted to talk, and it's not a selling video, it's just what I'm doing, okay, and I will leave everything that you need down below. As I said, today I am going to be using a glue pen. I do have these on my website, but you can get these from Sewline. They are all pretty much muchness. They yeah, they're all just a glue that's not a very adhesive glue. It just tacks down your, so you can see here, I've got these ones. They've been sitting there for over a week. Oh, yeah, over a week now. No, 4 or 5 days they've been sitting there. I've done these on Friday night. So yeah, you can see there, I don't have any cotton or anything, but they're stuck down and I can handle them, and they're not going to come out or anything like that. So that's what I'm going to use today. As I said, with the smaller ones, I tend to stitch them. But a product that Shell got me onto while we were down at the quilt show is these Sew Tile Minis. So basically what these do, which are absolutely amazing, I didn't realize how much strain I was putting on my fingers when I was sewing my pieces together. So love you, Shell, thank you, you've just saved my fingers. So basically these are like little magnet plates, a magnet and a plate. So let me just get them out and I'll demonstrate how to use them. And if I get to sewing stuff together, we will talk about that. All right, so basically these came in a pack of 5, and I got these from, oh, I can't remember, but I got them from the quilt show anyway. But I will find a link for them where you can get them and put them down underneath. And so basically all you do when you're sewing your pieces together, and you're eventually, you know, you've got all your bits and pieces and it's big and whatnot, instead of trying to be, it's so cumbersome, you get your 2 hexagons or whatever shapes you're using, you put them right sides together, then you take, my nails are really long at the moment, so handling anything small is really difficult. So these separate. It's got 2 little magnets on one side and a metal plate for the other, and basically all you do is you pop them on, and then it holds your 2 pieces together. Instead of having to hold it here where this puts strain, you can hold it a bit further down and not have to worry that it's going to move or slip or anything like that, because the magnet's holding it. Like, best thing ever. I don't know why I hadn't seen these. Obviously I don't get into the areas of the interwebs with where Michelle gets, because I completely miss these. And you know, I have been known to do a bit of English paper piecing, so I don't even know why I haven't seen it, but it comes with instructions on how to use them. This pack, I think they come in packs of 2, 3 and 5 on that. So yeah, another thing too that I'm doing besides this one, I have just got a a lot of stuff here that needs to be done, finished, started, all that sort of stuff. So I'm going to spend some time with you just doing these vlog style ones where I just work on my stuff and we have a bit of a chit chat and all of that stuff. I'll probably spend half an hour to an hour with you, and then we can go on our merry way. If you want to do this pattern, I will leave a link down to where to get it from the girls that we got it from at the quilt show, so you can go and show them some love. They also have papers over there. They use these ones here is what we got from them. So I will get onto their website and I will find their pattern and all the rest of it, and I will leave it all down there for you, and then that way you can find it and you can even join in the fun. And I'll probably work on this a couple of more times before it's completely finished. Another thing that came in the other day, now some of you probably know that I've been doing or collecting, because I haven't been doing them, the Fat Quarter Shops block of the month and stuff like that. I think this one is the Among the Stars again, and this is month 8. So I'm up to month 8 and they've sent me some more stuff. So I've got 8 of these blocks. Let me just get it with no glare on it. I will also leave a link down below where you can get this from as well. So this is a block of the month that they've been sending out, and I've also got the 2 mystery designers to do, and the new one starts soon, I believe, that I've signed up for that one as well. Which reminds me, I probably should check my email and see if they sent me anything. All right, so I need to cut, how many of these do I need? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. I've got to cut 9 different fabrics. These are I'm doing my fabrics exactly the same in each corner of the quilt. So I don't need this just yet. I'm going to prep my fabrics. And so I need to get my ironing pad, and I'll move my bag. And I've just got a baby go. I used to have a big one, but I found that I wasn't using it very much, and there was a local girl here that had the baby go, and she had trouble using the rotary cutter and stuff like that. So she had some pretty major issues with grip and stuff like that. So we did a swap, and I gave her I gave her the big one, which takes the big squares and whatnot. So I gave her all the applique stuff, because that's all I predominantly used it for, was the applique stuff. And so I decided that I didn't want it anymore, because I wasn't doing as much applique or raw edge applique. I was doing more needle turn. So I thought it was a good idea. She was going to use it, and she has made some phenomenal quilts. And those of you that have been around for a long time, you probably remember me talking about Jenny, a local girl here that wasn't very mobile but loved quilting and stuff like that. So we swapped, and I had all the ones that I could keep for the baby go, and she already had some as well for the baby go. So she kept her templates, and then she purchased the templates off me that don't fit in the baby go. So so she had a lot of fun with that. So she had the bigger rag quilt one. She had a whole heap of large applique ones that they've done on pillows and all that sort of stuff. And so she held all of them, and I just sold them to her for like $10 each. And because, you know, I knew that she was going to use it, and it wasn't just going to sit in someone's cupboard. So that was why I decided to do that. All right, so I've used this one. That's beautiful. Look at that. Cats, got teacups. This is the Alice in Wonderland one. I don't know the actual name of it. I'm not a huge Tula Pink fan. I think I've got 2 of her fabric lines, although I do like her Little Creatures one, I think it's called, or Little Beasts or something. That is coming in the mail, because I have decided that I'm going to do the Galaxy English paper piecing by, who's it by? I will insert a picture of it here for you. It's gorgeous. And while I was shopping, you know, patterns and fabric can't travel alone, so I got some more stuff, but when they come in I will show you. And I'm going to do a lot of prep on here anyway. So yeah, so we've got this one. What else have we got? We've got this one, we have this one, we have this one, and this one, and this one, and that's it. That's all we've we should have another one. Hang on, where is it? Here it is. And this one, look at these little critters with party hats on. They're at a tea party. Oh my God, how cute are they? They're adorable. I love them. All right, so the rest of the fabrics I'm going to put away. Now, Morgana and I worked out how many bits and pieces we need for this. So as you can see, this has got lots of stars in it. So we've got some white stars with a coloured surround, and then we've got some solid stars with a white surround. So we need, I believe it is, let me just look. I wrote it in here so I would not lose it. Did I not? Yes, I did. So we need 66 full stars, which are the full coloured ones, and we need 76 of the white stars. Do you want to see what size are the pieces of the stars? And there's 12 pieces to each star. So this quilt is going to take a little while. Let me just grab that. They are little diamonds. So essentially 12 of these diamonds make up one hexagon this size. Okay. I haven't started on this yet. So I got a few extra bits of fabric to go into this. That is Tula Pink. So I've got some spots and stripes and stuff like that to go with it. And I get most of my Tula Pink fabrics and cotton steel on all those sort of ones I've always got from Polka Dot Tea Fabrics on Etsy, and I'll leave a link down to her Etsy store down below. Michelle shops there a lot as well. I love the fact that she gets a lot of selections in, and she's competitively priced, and her customer service is freaking amazing. Like, freaking amazing. She gets them out so quickly. Like, she surpasses anybody I know, including myself, in customer service. She answers questions straight away and all the rest of it. So basically we need 12 of these little diamonds, which measure this is the insanity of English paper piecing. You are like, yeah, I'll do it, no worries. Yeah. So it is 2 inches high and 1 inch wide. Okay, so grab your ruler and have a look at that. That's 2 inches high. Well, it's actually it's less than 2 inches high. It is, from point to point, it is 1 3/4 in height, and it is 1 inch from point to point is 1 inch wide. Insanity. I'm telling you, I'm gone crazy. I need to be put into an asylum and I need a rest. I also have in English paper piecing through paperpiecing.com that I'm working on, and I've only done 4 blocks, and I'm really keen to get it out again, but I went looking for it this morning and it's right at the back of my storage shed. So I've got to get in there, and the ground's still really wet here, so I don't want to pull stuff out that could get wet and then I not know and it go moldy in the storage shed. So I'm going to wait until the grass starts dying off, because we're in our dry season now, so it should start dying off pretty soon. Hopefully all the rain has gone. Fingers crossed. I mean, I love the fact that we've had rain, but oh my God, come on, people. We don't need that much rain. Our dams are really full, which is great, because, you know, we could end up going into drought and stuff like that. So we have enough water now for quite a number of years. As long as people don't go crazy and use it all, we'll be right. And it was actually a really, really lovely sight when I was driving down to Brisbane the other week, and just going past the dam. It was so beautiful. Like, it was so full, and the birds were all there, and oh, it was just wonderful to see it that full, because we have, as I said, we have been, you know, we've had green droughts and we've not had a lot of rain for a long time. All right, so that looks a bit better now. So yeah, so you can see I just leave the cards in it. Now I will say, if you do get this pattern, the template that comes with it, let me just grab my basket. I should probably grab my other chair. Okay, the template that comes with it, in our case, we got it with a template. You can get the pattern on its own, or you can get it with the templates. And the girls were really great, because we asked them if they had the papers, and they basically, they're based in Brisbane, so they had the papers and they brought them back the next day. I mean, We shopped at their store every single day that we were there. But I will show you, I've actually cut my hexagons a little bit bigger. And now when I cut them on the AccuQuilt cutter, I did this down in Brisbane, so I did this with scissors. I cut my hexagons a little bit bigger. When I use the template, you can see there is not a lot of seam allowance. So if you do get this, if you're using the template, you can see here, just go maybe 1/8 of an inch a little bit bigger all the way around. So draw your template, but then cut 1/8 of an inch out, and that's all I've been doing. So you can see that here. So I've traced on the white fabric, and I don't care if it's not straight or anything, because it gets wrapped around the card and you don't see that. Okay, so there's some of my white ones I've done, but you can see there the green line behind it. So that is where the template, I set the template down and I've drawn around the template, but I've cut a little ways out, and then that way it's given me a little bit, sometimes a little bit more than I probably need, but I don't really care. It just adds to the warmth of the quilt anyway. So yeah, so that's what I have been doing. So just a tip, if you do this, okay, and that's probably the same for a lot of templates, just do a test one first and just see. So this is, I think these are her actual templates, but anyway, I will double check that anyway. I will put, as I said, I will put all the links down below. I will even contact the people that we got off to make sure that I've got the right ones and everything for you, if I can't find them on their website and whatnot. So yeah, so I am just fixing this one up because I've been a little bit brutal with it and just been moving it around and dropping it, and yeah, I've not been treating it very nice. And if any come up, I just put a little bit of glue on it, and yeah, I know that that'll stick. But it's going to look so pretty. Like it's only a wall hanging size too. It is, I did see it, I think it's on the inside actually. Let me just have a look. It also comes with like paper templates too in the pattern. I'll just put this stuff back in here so I don't lose it. The size of the mini quilt is 46 inches wide by 48 inches high. So like a lap size quilt, cot size quilt. For those working in centimeters, that's 117 centimeters wide by 122 centimeters high. So it's only a mini quilt, and you can see there, like this, you can see the size comparison. There's a chair and table underneath it. So it's a good size. It's not too bad. All right, so let me just start prepping some of my fabrics. I can now pop this out of the way now that that's a little bit nicer. Now I've got to make 3 more corners, so I need to have 3 more squares of this. All right, and I will just, basically I just give it a really good press. I hit it with some best press and just, yeah, do that. I know that you can't really see what I'm doing, but I will angle the camera a little bit when I am ready to, I'm just ironing. When I'm ready to cut and stuff like that, we'll measure the template, make sure that we've got the right size. I'm also not getting hung up too much about fussy cutting. Now, those that know me know that I am not a super big fan of fussy cutting. It has its place for things like smaller patterns, such as this one here. Like if I was doing really tiny little hexagons, I could fussy cut that. And if you watched my video the other day of down at the quilt show, at the end there is a hexagon quilt that's done with tiny little ones, and she fussy cut it all. So I'm not a big fan of it because I struggle with the waist, and so I don't, in my mind, I just do not get hung up if my things are a little bit off center. So you can see here, this cat is not directly in the middle, it's down a little bit. And I just think that for me, like this one is a little bit more centered. The girl, you can see her legs are way down here, but she's centered, but then this one, she's off to the side. For me, it adds to the character of the quilt because I don't want it to be picture perfect. But in saying that, there is a place for fussy cutting in particular quilts, and some of the quilts that I've got coming up are probably going to be a fussy cut, which I'm going to have to breathe through the process because I struggle with it so much. So yeah, I'm hoping beyond all hopes that and that the powers of be will be a little bit kind to me on my anxiety that, you know, like, fabric's not cheap. As you know, you all know this, it's not cheap. So I don't want to waste any of my fabric that I've got. So yeah, so I'm just going to press a small portion of it. I don't have to have it super perfect or anything like the whole fat quarter, because it's going to get folded up and put back into the place again, into the basket again. So as I said, I'm just going to use some best press and spray that and prep up all my fabric, get these all cut. And I know girls, Gail, Michelle, Leanne, Jenny, I know I'm cheating a little bit, but I do have a bit on and I just want to get some of the prep work done. Chances are you will still all finish the quilt before me anyway, so don't stress it. We've got, as I said, we've got 66 full stars to make and 76 white stars to make, and 12 of those little pieces go into each star. So we need to have a lot of little diamonds. I worked it out the other day. We need about 18 packs of them. So yeah, just a few. Because I think the packs only come in 100. Where'd they go? Yeah, they only come in 100, and I think I worked it out to be, what I say? Where's that pattern gone? This is the insanity of this quilt, but it's great because you can sit there and you can, like, I like to prep all my stuff, so that's what I'm doing right now. I'm just going to prep everything, and then basically what I'll do when I'm sitting there with the girls, I will just stitch some together and I will make all of my individual pieces of it. So that's why I've got all my white ones all cut out now, ready to go on card. I'm doing all of these ones in this size to go on the 2.5 inch. Then once I'm finished the 2 inch hexagons, once I'm finished them, they can all sit in there and they're prepped. And then what I will do, I will move on to doing the stars. And so I do it in like a production line, and sorry if you can hear my heater, it is freezing here today. As you can see, I've got a t-shirt and a skivvy on. So basically what I do is I do it in a production line style. So I will, as I said, do all my hexagons, and then once they're done, I'll set them aside. Then the next one I will move on to, I will do all of my white diamonds that I need, and I will set them all aside. Then I will do all of my colored diamonds, and I'll set them aside. Then I will start sewing the individual pieces together. So then I will work my way back, and I will do all of my full solid stars. I do all of them until I've got the 66 of them, and then I will do the white stars until I've got the 76 of them, and then I will have all of my hexagon components, stars included, ready to sew the quilt overall. So I tend to buy or make whatever cards that I need. I use my scan and cut to make all my 1 inch ones because I make a ton of them. I always use my scraps and everything, and 2 inch charm mini charm packs that you get from Moda, they are great for 1 inch hexagons. I use them all the time because I don't really know what else to make with them. Like, I know I can do table runners and all that sort of stuff, but a girl can only have so many mini quilts and table runners in her house before it starts overtaking. So I tend to just make like little table toppers, or I'll make coasters, or I'll make gifts with them. I am planning on getting under my long arm machine and cleaning out underneath there. I've got boxes of scrap and stuff like that, so I'm going to get under there, get them out, and I'm going to turn them into hexagons, and some of these larger ones as well, some really tiny little ones, and just start using some of them up, cut some squares and stuff. And that's another reason I've got the AccuQuilt cutter out as well, because it's great. My girls, when they were little, used to keep on top of it for me. Now they have no interest. So basically they used to get it out. I'd have my big scrap basket, and they'd get the AccuQuilt cutter out, and they'd cut out hearts for me, squares, different size triangles and all that sort of stuff, and then they'd put them all, organize them for me and put them all in bags. Now I've used nearly all of that stuff. Some of it I've given it away to people, and yeah, I've done scrap bags and all that sort of stuff. I've cut hexagons for people out of my scraps and whatnot as well. But I want to make a large hexagon quilt. I haven't made one where I've just put a mishmash, like full-on scrappy, nothing matching, nothing, anything like that, nothing at all matching, and that's what I want to do. So that's why, another reason why I have pulled out all my hexagons, and then I will just basically I will sew them into flowers, because the flowers will interconnect with each other, because they're easier to handle as opposed to doing big rows. And then I will just start sewing that. Once I've done a whole heap, then I will just sew those rows together. So yeah, all right. So I've got a lot of plans for English paper piecing. I don't know, I've got the EPP bug at the moment, which is great because it's something else I can do. And that's what I was saying before. I actually have the Dear Jane quilt, and I'm not sure if everybody's heard of that, but the Dear Jane quilt I got from paperpiecing.com. They had, and this is going back several, I think it was, Mia was about 1. So it's going back about 5 years ago now, maybe longer. Maybe I started it before she was born, or I don't know, I can't remember. But anyway, I got that as a row of the month. So basically each month they would send enough of the paper pieces, all this sort of stuff, and they would send it in one pack for one row. And I think there's like 400 and something blocks in the entire quilt, and everything is going to be English paper piecing. I've done 4 blocks so far, and then I just got super busy and haven't done it. But I want to get in, as I said, it's at the back of the storage shed, so I want to get in there and get it out, and then I can start doing some of that as well, because I've got row A, I've done 4 out of it, and I think I've got another 12 to go from memory. I will have to look it up and see how many I've got to go. And this one, I don't think I said the name of this fabric because I couldn't remember what it was, but it is Curiouser and Curiouser is the fabric line that I'm using of Tula Pinks. Okay, so if you were wondering what it was, anybody and who's on Instagram knows what this range is. But for those that are not a die-hard Tula fan, it is Curiouser and Curiouser. So yeah, and I've got 3 patterns coming for some large quilts. Gail and Michelle are both doing it. Jenny and Leanne are not. Gail is only new to English paper piecing, and she has already caught the bug. She has brought her next kit. I was surprised, to say the least. I didn't think that she would get bitten so easily. But you can make some beautiful quilts with English paper piecing, and they don't have to be huge either. I don't need that one. Wrong pile. No, that's right. They were supposed to go over there. That's all right. All right. I'll get with it in a moment. All right. As I said, I just want to prep them. Then I'm going to measure and cut my little squares. I only need 3 squares because I only need 3 of those corners. And then we will get to gluing. All right, so I have been prattling on for 30 minutes already. What is everybody working on today? Are you joining me in a little bit of crafty time? If you are, tell me what you're working on in the comments below. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button. If you've just stumbled across me, hi and welcome. This is me doing my thing. So hit that like button. If you're new here, as I said, don't forget to hit that subscribe button. But I just want to say thank you to everybody that is watching this video and or has watched any of my videos since I started in 2018. I got a notification today that I reached 1 million views on my channel, and I just want to say thank you so much to all of you. Thank you for the lovely support and encouragement that you've given me over the last few years. I really do appreciate it, and here's to the next million, hey? Like, thank you so much. I am still a little bit gobsmacked by it all, I must admit. I'm a little bit shocked by it all. When I started this channel, I started it because I just wanted to share my passion of crafting with people, and there's so many isolated people here in Australia that like can't get out to classes and stuff because of location or lack of classes or no sewing people in their area and stuff like that. And I just wanted to build a community as such and help those people feel a little bit more connected and come and spend some time with me every week and do some crafting along with me. So you know, and I've met so many amazing people, some that have gone on to have their own floss tubes, some that have gone on to have their own sewing channel, and like Andra, I love her channel, and I haven't been watching much YouTube lately, but I am planning on binge watching you over the weekend. I've got some stitching planned, and I've got a few hours there that I'm going to block out to binge watch the last couple of months of your videos. And Andra always shows me love on the channel, whether it be a like, a heart in the comments, or a beautiful message over on Instagram. She's always supporting me, and I think that you all should go over and support her too. There's a few others that were on FlossTube and haven't been making videos lately, but I will leave all their channels down below. There is too many to mention, but yeah, it's just been great that I've been able to build this community and make some lifelong friends, and yeah, I'm so looking forward to it. And it's actually, I did a little happy dance. Like I used to get hung up on numbers, and I'll admit I used to get hung up on numbers pretty bad. Like, am I not doing this right? You know, like when you come onto YouTube, it does put a little bit of a chink in your armor at times, especially when you get some unkind stuff. But generally, I've only had a very few nasty comments, and basically I just whatever and just remove the comment, and just so I don't have to see it again. And then if it's really nasty, I just block them straight away. They don't even get a second chance, because obviously they're just come to be rude basically, and I just don't have time for that. But yeah, for the most part, it's been an absolutely wonderful community. And you know, sometimes I've doubted myself, and when I start to really doubt myself, I like to take a break so I can come back and I can regroup, and I can come back nice and refreshed and hang out with you guys. And so this is what this video is about, so I can just hang out with you and do a little bit of crafting and get some of my crafting done, because let's face it, I don't get a lot of stuff finished, and I'm trying to get more and more stuff finished. So here's hoping, hey? All right, so the next thing I need to do, where did I just put that? Oh, there it is. So the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to measure the size of the square that I'm going to need. And then I'm just going to cut that size, which, if I'm correct, I reckon it's going to be about a little bit bigger than 5 inches. So just under, let me just have a look. Yeah, so it's about 5 inches, and then the point to point is 5 1/4. So I'm going to go a 5 1/2 inch square. So I need to stand up for that. Like my shirt, Savannah got it for me. She knows me too well. Although I would have to say that she's more of an antisocial person than me. I'm really social on social media, but I don't do a lot of socializing out in the real world. Right, so I'm going to just move my fabrics over, and I'm going to tilt this down, and then that way you can see what I'm doing. And I'm just going to cut some 5 1/2 inch squares out of this, because I'm going to cut it on the AccuQuilt cutter. And of course I don't want my selvage in there, so I might actually cut over this side here, because there's no selvage here. All right. Now let me just make sure. Well, we're going to get a couple of faces on this hexagon, I reckon, and one off to the side. And the little bits and pieces that I get left over, I'll show you the size hexagons that I'm going to use. I don't know where I put them. Okay, so the next size, all my little scraps, you can see here, these are 1/4 inch hexagons. So you can see, if I can get one on its own, there we go. That's how big they are. So basically, all the little bits of scraps that I've got from this quilt I'm going to keep, and then I'm going to make like little coasters and stuff using those small ones. Am I crazy? Yeah, that'd be an affirmative on that. but you get that on some of these bigger jobs. All right. And I'm not getting too, as I said, I'm not getting too hung up of where these cats' faces are going to go, because otherwise I will end up just wasting a lot of fabric. And I don't want to waste a lot of fabric. So some will be like little peekaboos, some will be dead smack in the center, some will not be off to the side, and all the rest of it. So yeah. All right, so that's those three. This one will be a little bit easier to do as well. So, and as I said, I'm just cutting them a little bit bigger than what I need. 5.5 is probably a little bit of overkill, but as I said, I can use the leftovers. I've just cut some at 5.25 square. See how we go with that. And I will just cut all of these at the same time, basically. Put them on the AccuQuilt cutter and run them through. I do like each fabric on their own, and you'll see, apart from this little bit of prep, it doesn't take too long. See if I can go that way. Ooh, I can get one out of there. Easy. And notice I slow down with my talking when I am cutting, because we all know what can happen to your finger if you're not paying attention. We all seen what happened to me a couple of years ago. Had a bit of an accident. Nearly took the tip of my finger off, and I can assure you I do not want to do that again. See, I will see if I can't, like this little strip here, I will keep that and use that and like put the strips together and stuff like that. And I just put them all in little bags. If I don't use them after a couple of years, I do try to send them off. There's a lady that, I haven't seen it for a while, that obviously because I've got a lot of scrap here. But I used to give her all of my leftover scraps. Now, where did I iron? Down here. This crease has not come out very well. Yeah, I used to give her all my scraps and whatnot. She used to use them for charity, but I haven't seen her around for a while. I will have to try and track her down, because I've got a ton of wadding here that she will definitely use for her quilts. And it's just all leftover stuff from quilts that I have made, or people have just left it with me because they didn't want it anymore. But no, you keep it. I'm like, oh, I don't need it, take it home. I've got enough. All right, that's that one done. Excuse me. All right, where did I iron over here? And we've got 3-4 more to go. We had 9 fabrics we had to cut from, so. Alright. That one's going to be a good one. Should be able to center that one. If I was doing like 1 inch, like if you look at this fabric, if I was doing like a 1 inch hexagon, or maybe a 1.5 inch hexagon, these would be perfect, because you could center that putty cat quite well. And I may even try and see if I can't center those ones, and I will probably cut them by hand as opposed to Yeah, if I went with a 1.5, I would get all the little bits and pieces around, like the little bits and pieces around as well on the cats. So yeah, something I should think about, maybe saving some of this fabric and doing some 1.5 ones. Right, get the fabric right. Okay, what have we got going on down here? Yeah, as I said, I don't really get that hung up on the placement of it, especially with something like this. Like, it's just, yeah, they're big and it's hard. I find it hard. Mainly because of my phobia about wasting fabric. Although, it doesn't matter what you do, you still get a general amount of waste anyway. Like, I'm going to get waste in this, but I will have pieces that will be small enough to hold on to use in like smaller hexagons and stuff like that. And at the end of the day, even if I just sew them all together and just make like a little table center or something along those lines, it's still all being used. And also, like, when you use your scraps too, you can look back and go, oh, I did that fabric in this quilt. And I like doing that too. Like, even with my 1-inch hexagons that aren't in a quilt yet, I really enjoy doing that, like reminiscing about the fabrics that I have done for different projects and whatnot, like all my leftovers. And then sometimes even the girls, they will remember what quilt it was in, which really surprises me, because I always think that they are not paying attention to what I'm doing and don't care one way or another. But they obviously do, because they see the fabrics and go, oh, I remember that quilt. And I just have a little bit of a chuckle to myself. No, I'm not interested in sewing at all, but I know exactly what you've been doing. Funny little critters that they are. All right, one more fabric and we're done. I just love this. Like, look how adorable that is. How adorable is that? It is absolutely gorgeous. Excuse me. I got into the front of the storage shed this morning and it was so dusty in there. I've got to get down there and open it up. But as I said, it's been raining so much that it's just a bit hectic trying to get in there. Is the way I'm gonna go. I don't know. It's messing with my head. Alright. Alright. I'm going to have to just cut it there. It is what it is. Cutting from the corners. I don't want a fussy cut, but I'm fussy cutting it. This one I am not going to get. I'm just going to get the top of the hat. There's no way around that. I'll get a top and a bottom, and it'll be like, yeah, because it's sort of like a row. Can you see that? Like, it's a row of them. Anyway, it is what it is. I mean, when it comes time to it, even if I use these fabrics throughout, like you can see here, when I put the little diamond on, even when I cut it, I can fussy cut the hell out of it. Like, I can get a little critter or a little, I don't know if you can see that or not, but so we've got there, like, even if I was to use them, I'm still going to chop like the tail off and stuff like that. So yeah, I sort of, once I probably didn't pick the right fabric for it, but at the end of the day, this is what I like, this is what I'm going with, and yeah, it will do. I'm not going to get too hung up on it, but I know that some people are going to get really, because it's a little bit of OCD. All right, so at this stage, I'm going to press them again, get rid of all those fabrics. I like to give them another press and a little bit of starch. All right, let's just bring that camera back up, and I'll come around here and have a bit of a seat. Bring everything a little bit closer. When I put the benches in, I didn't think that this bench out, I would have liked it to have come a little bit further out so I could get underneath it and work on it, but I didn't do that, so I've got a cupboard right here. Not great for sitting on, so I sit on the corner. So I've got the table coming out and I can put my legs on either side then. So it works a little bit better. I don't often sit down and craft like this here. I generally, I might sit at that bench over there, but there's no room to set the camera up, so yeah. Although my hubby did say it wouldn't be hard to put an extension on it somewhere that I could like lift up. So maybe here, because I don't need people coming through, I can have an extension that goes down, but it comes up and has two legs that'll hold it there. Like do all my cutting, but then I can sit there and craft and have the camera set up and all the rest of it. So basically all I'm doing now is just getting the last little creases out that are giving me a bit of grief, and then we're going to run them through the AccuCut cutter. So if you've got like a really bad crease, I tend to press it from one side and then I'll flip it over and on it from the other side as well, and that gets rid of everything then. Okay, see, nice and flat. This one's the same, it's got a real substantial crease in it. And I'll flip it over. Very rarely I need to put a little bit more on the side, but if it's been folded up for a long time, like in storage, or it's been sitting on my to use shelf and stuff like that, it can be a bit problematic. I'll pull these ones out, the rest are pretty much fine. This was the only one that I think had the crease in it still. Alright, so I will cut each of the fabrics that are the same together, and that way they're all done, and then we'll start sticking them on. You watch how quick this is. Like, it's taken me a little while and I've been prattling on and I haven't been going as fast as I normally would, but you watch how quick it is with the AccuCut cutter. I don't know, like, I know that there's a lot of you out there that have one already and you've used them and all the rest of it, but there's a lot that also watch my channel that are new to sewing and may not have seen this before and may think, oh, I like that idea, I should get myself one. I don't use it as much as I used to, but then in saying that as well, I haven't made quilts as much as I used to either, because I've been, you know, focusing on YouTube and just doing my thing and all that sort of stuff. So yeah, you know, stitching and all that's taken place as well. All right, that is all the prep work done. We can get rid of that now. I'll just pop that down there, and then we're going to bring up the baby go, and we're just going to open that up and then grab my cutter. All right, so for those that don't know what the AccuCut is, and you won't be able to see it, see this line here that I've marked out, there is actually a blade in there, and that's where the blade is, and it just goes through our little cutter. Okay, it goes through here and it puts pressure on it and it cuts the fabric. Now I tend to do 2 or 3 pieces at a time. I don't tend to do, I think it's 4 or 6 that you can do. 4 will cut really well as well, but I tend not to do 4. I tend to do between 2 and 3. That's just my comfort zone, and then it just sits off the side and we've got a little handle that winds. It doesn't need any power or anything like that. And then all I do is, almost forgot it, can't do much cutting without our little bit that goes over the top. Okay, so this is what helps it go over the top, and I just make sure that all my fabrics are nice and even and they're going across the blade, and that's why I've also marked mine with a white marker so I can see it a lot easier. This is an old template too, so it's been a while. And then I just place that on top, and then I just gently wind that through once it gets on a bit of an angle. And I just wind it through. It comes out the other side, and if it's sharp, it's cut. Sometimes I get a little bit that might just hang on like that. I just get my scissors and snip that off, but I will do that all at the end. There we go. That is our hexagon. And see, I've got little bits and pieces left over that I can use for those little mini hexagons. Alright, so there's not too much waste, but you can see there I've just got a little point that must be a little bit dull on there, or there was not enough pressure on that. There we go. That's how easy it is. Alright, I'm going to continue doing that, get them all out of the way. As I said, I'm just going to lay them on top, making sure it's covering my hexagon. And I find it easier just to put a little bit of an angle on it, so it goes through just a little bit on the in that way, and it just grabs that little bit easier. I love it. I just think it's absolutely fabulous. Just saves me a ton of time. I know it's all about the slow stitching and that, but I'm not about the slow cutting. I'm down with the slow stitching. And sewing. I am not down with the slow cutting. So that is, I mean, I know that I'm going to have to embrace it with this quilt, because the simple fact is that that I've got all those little diamonds and I don't have a template for that. I probably could find one, I guess, but not that small, I don't think. So yeah, I sort of as I said, I am definitely down with the slow stitching. I'm just not down with the slow cutting. And you can see it's cutting it very well. I do have a dull point on well, this one cut really well, except for one. So that one cut the three of them at once. So no, there is just there must be just on one of the points, because it's pretty old and I've cut a lot of hexagons with this. And yeah, so it's just like one little thread that it's catching, but for the most part it's definitely working. As I said, I've had it for a long time. I think I've had this hexagon cutter, and as I said, I have used it a lot. I actually have had this since 2000 and it'd have to be 2010, easy. Maybe 2011 I got it, because I first got my AccuQuilt cutter in 2010. I was actually one of the first people to buy one. I was in the first 10 or 15 people that bought one. I was sitting up one night watching, I don't know what I was watching. I was just watching late night internet. I couldn't sleep, and I seen it back then. So we didn't get them. It must have been 2010. We got them in this country in 2010. So, and my understanding, what I was told by the person that I bought it, I was within the first 15 people, 10 or 15 people that purchased it. Right, get that over there, get that there. So I've had this hexagon, and the hexagon one was one of the first ones that I purchased. So I've had it for a long, long time. So I'm pretty chuffed that it's you know, still cutting all this time later. But I will have to get myself a new one, because as I said, it is just starting to get a dull point in it. The other ones are probably working fine, but what I will do is I will actually keep this, and I will use it for cutting paper hexagons, and I'll possibly be able to do I can get larger hexagons done this way. So yeah, but for the most part it's still cutting. Well, I know my 1-inch one's still working because I cut some a couple of weeks ago. That one doesn't have a dull point, but it's been a while since I've used this large one. So and I also, with my top board, my cutting mat that goes on top, I tend to rotate that. So I'll go through one way, then I'll spin it, and then I'll flip it, and I just do that all the way through, because that also saves your board. Because you can, I don't know if you can see it on camera or not, you can see here it gets marks in it from where the blades hit it. So I rotate that around, and then that way I don't have to stress about the cutting mat. That just extends the life of your cutting mat. Right, that wasn't quite on there, so we'll just move that over a bit. No, too far. And that's another reason that I mark my boards as well. You don't necessarily have to these days, because some of the newer ones, they are 2 different colors on the mats, on these templates, so you can see where they end. But the original ones, they were all the same color, so it was really hard to spot where your fabric was when you were laying it down. So with the white markings on it, you're able to see it a little bit better, which is a fabulous idea. Makes life so much easier. Less stressful. Alright, this is the last one. So there you go. That's how quick it is to use the AccuQuilt cutter. As I said, this is not a selling video today. It's just what I'm doing today. But I will leave the link down below. And I know that not everybody has seen these or seen them in use. To be honest, I don't see a lot of quilters on YouTube that use them, unless that's specifically what they're there for. So, all right. Now let's put our baby go away and trim up all our hexagons. We can put this away for another day. Well, I don't need the big ones now because all my white ones are cut out. So I've got my little pile of scraps, which I'm going to use for my next little project that I've got going on. Set that aside. Grab my chair. And all right, move my camera back up. There we go. Look at that. Here I am. I'm back again. All right, so now, as I said, I've got a dull point on mine, but you can see with some of them that it cut right through. So it's a bit hit and miss at the moment. I will have to replace that, and I'm going to do that today because I do use this hexagon a lot, and I don't want to not have it. I mean, for the most part it still works, and I'm not really doing a lot of cutting. This is almost like our what we used to do before. We used to do a Friday night craft along, and we're doing it today. This will probably go up while most people are sleeping in the United States, but anyway, it's there when you get up. And like, I'm not too stressed where I'm cutting it off. I'm not too stressed if it's not perfect, because that's going to get caught up in the seam allowance anyway, so I'm not even going to see that. So I just snip it off. There is definitely, like, my other edges, I don't know if you can see that or not, my other edges are beautifully cut with it. I've just got that dull point over here, so I need to get a new template. But if I got that in 2010, because I'm pretty sure it was the first one or the second template that I got, so it would have been late 2010, early 2011. We're now in 2022, and I've used that a lot. I've used it in class settings and all the rest of it. It is lasting you a very long time, and that's the first dull spot that I've noticed. Like, I'm doing pretty good, I reckon. As I said, I've used it in class situations. The place that I used to work at before I had my own business, we used it there as well, because I was the only one that bought a hexagon template. I don't know why, but that's just how it went. Alright, I'm just going to turn this off before I end up burning myself, because I don't really need this anymore. Down there. Need a little side table. Alright, so they are the little bits of scrap that I've got left. I'm going to chuck them in there and I will cut them up into little bits and pieces. The next thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to get my, these are 2-inch papers. 2-inch papers. Just have to double check that. And then I'm just going to start gluing them. And then I will do this for the rest of the day, and then all my big hexagons for this quilt will be done, and then I can start sewing them together and do my panels up, because that's how each corner is going to be, exactly like this. Now, if I remember correctly, this one down here ends up getting cut in half. So on my other ones, I may end up just swapping the cat out for this purple one or something. I don't know. And I still may unpick this one, because I don't know if I want to, or is it, let me just find the pattern. Let me look at the pattern. Yeah, the one, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, yeah. So this bottom row here is going to end up getting cut in half. Well, not quite half. It gets cut off at this point here. So it's getting cut off to make it a straight edge. So it's going to get cut off. So that point there below is going to get cut off. I could probably still have my cat there. I would just have to readjust where I sit the cat. So I've got my hexagons here. So wherever they end up, like this one's going to end up at the top, which is good. This one's got pieces, like this little guy's going to end up near the top as well. So I'm doing okay, I think. And these ones down here doesn't really matter. They're pretty generic. So they're like your blenders, so to speak. Yeah, they've got pictures on them, but they're going to be your blender. All right, so I'm just going to bring this down just a touch. There we go. You can still see me and you can see what I'm doing. All right. So all I do is get my hexagons and my hexagon fabric, and then I'm just going to place that on there like so. So you can see there. So I've got fabric going all the way around. I might bring you a little bit closer. Let me just bring this in a bit. If you see how I've got my camera set up right now, you'd be cracking up laughing. I've got a, excuse the mess behind me because I'm in the middle of organising. So just let's not pay attention to the crap on the floor, okay? All right, so I, as I said, are in the middle of tidying up and all the rest of it, but the camera, the holder that I'm using right now is actually my car mobile phone holder. I got two and I have a spare one, and it works perfect for just clamping on the side of the table. It's just got like a jaw and it holds it, and then I've got you connected to the rest of my AccuQuilt templates. I've got a big pile of them there, so it worked out just to be the right size. So we just grab our glue. This is not a tutorial, this is just what I'm doing, but I'm just telling you what I'm doing as I'm going. And then I just start at the top here, and then I just roll that over so the fabric is flush against the top of the cardboard. So you can hear that. That's the cardboard. All right, and then I just turn it, and I just put a little bit of glue. I don't put a lot. Okay, sometimes this glue, sometimes I get a bit carried away with the glue and I get a bit heavy and I have to scrape it off. You just want a little bit. So all I do is I just, you can see there, I just use the edge. So see how, and I just rotate it around. So I just use the edge and I just put a thin line, and you should be able to see that because it's blue. And then I put a little bit on the fabric over here, and then that will hold that corner down. Okay. And you can see that that holds the corners down. Okay. And I just do that all the way around. And as you've seen, the AccuQuilt cutter has just sped up that process so much better, quicker, more time to do and the gluing also speeds it up as well. So the preparation side of it, I'm happy to there we go, that little cat. I'm happy to speed up the process a bit because, I mean, who likes preparation? None of us. But the key to a good quilt is in the preparation. And so now I will just do that with the rest of them, and you can see that cat's up. So if I put this along the bottom, I'm not going to lose that pussycat because this is going to sit this way. Maybe he's off to the side, so I'm not going to lose that point down the bottom here, which is really good. That means that I haven't wasted my little booty cat. And I'm just going to continue doing that with the rest of them. As I said, some of these, the cats will end up off the side, and he'll get chopped and all the rest of it. But the fabric that I chose for this particular one, it was just not, I would have liked to have probably got maybe a tone on tone, but I really liked it when I seen it, and it's got pussycats in it. So all right, so when I do where is it? There it is. I'll show you what I do with the a little bit closer now as well. So a lot of these ones in here are ones that I've got from swaps and everything. So there's a mixture of glue, sewn, basted, and different styles of basting. So with this particular, I'm using the glue method today, but normally I like to use this method here, where I've tack it. So you can see there, this is actually one of mine. I've just come in and grabbed those corners. So if I was to do it on here, I would start here, and basically I would do a little knot and a tack, and then I'd go to this one and I'd grab the top fabric and the bottom fabric right in the crease, and I'd do that all the way around until I got back to where I started, so that you can see like this one here. What that means is there's no glue or anything like that, but there's also no going through to the front card. So the original method that I was taught, you actually did the basting all the way around, but you went through the paper. Now that we use card, we don't need to do that so much. So years ago they used to use freezer paper or newspaper or brown paper bags and stuff like that. I've had quilts that have come in here that have been worked on for many years from some of my older clients, and they have newspaper and stuff in the back of theirs. So they basically used whatever they could use to make the hexagons and use all of their fabric scraps and stuff like that. But these days we use cardstock because we've got that available. So now you don't have to do that, go through the front. You can save yourself a step. So when they sewed all their hexagons together, they would then have to snip off all of their threads. And that is a bit of a process. Okay, so you're taking away a step once you put it all together. So once you've sewn all your hexagons together, what you would do in the old days is that you would go along and you would snip all your basting threads and you would pull them all out, and then they'd be gone. This way you can sew them all together, you can pull your cards out, and then you just, like you sew them together with the card in, and then once you've finished and you're ready to sew your quilt together or applique it on, because some people make hexagon flowers and then applique them on, you can then pull your card out and you don't have to worry about doing that extra step. With the gluing, that is essentially gluing with thread, and the gluing is the same. So when it comes time to taking these out, basically what will happen, I will sew some together and then I will just peel. You can see it comes off quite easy. I will peel this back and then I'll pull the card out. I tend to press mine a couple of times, so I press it before I take the card out, then I press it again once the card is out, and then it makes it to sit a lot easier as well. Like when I'm working my quilt, I press them a lot, and I'll just keep doing that every time I take cards out or anything. I'll press it before I take the card out, and then I'll press it again as the card has come out, and then that way once it's starting to go into the quilt, it's a little bit easier because you're working with bigger pieces and whatnot. So it will make it a lot easier to press and keep it all together. And that's just a process. That's not a rule or a hard and fast rule. That's just a process that I like to do because I get a little bit obsessed with it sitting properly. So you can see here, like I've got an eye and an ear and another eye here. So that is going to work in the quilt. Like I will probably, because this one will get cut out, or I will maybe move it to a different point so we've got all that looking at us. And yeah, as I said, the other one's going to get cut off, but I'm still going to have it there, and I might just move them around. I may not put them in the exact same layout. I may just move them around, and yeah, I'll play around with a little bit of the layout before I decide to sew them together. It's quite relaxing. Like it's like going back to kindergarten. Playing with glue, fabric and shapes. And as you can see, like if you don't put enough on there, it won't stick. But you don't have to be heavy-handed. This will last me for this entire quilt. Like it should last me the entire quilt. Maybe not so much for the diamonds. I might end up running out just before I finish all the diamonds. But this is a new one. So we'll see how far we get with it. All right. So you can see how quick you can get your pieces together this way. So leave a comment down below. Have you ever done any of this sort of stuff before? If you're new to it, do you like how it looks? Do you think it'd be something that you'd be interested in? Leave some comments down below. If you've got any questions, drop them down below as well. I'm no expert, but I do have access to people that are experts. So Shell_Trails, she does a lot of English paper piecing, way more than what I do. I think just about all her quilts are either foundation paper piecing at the moment or English paper piecing, because we get together a couple of times. We've got together on Zoom. She's been working on that. So, and now we're taking Gail down the rabbit hole with us as well. So there's a purple one. And now, once I've done all this, I can just start sewing them together, and I can get my rows finished. I'm not going to sew them together today. I've got a few other things to do this afternoon, but this has got me ready for my next session, and I can just start whip stitching them together. As I said, I have carded up the top of this video on a beginner's just a little coaster or a little table topper that you can make, and it's just got 7 of these hexagons, and yeah, you'll be able to make get yourself acquainted with English paper piecing, and then before you know it, you'll be making some really beautiful quilts. And as I said too, it is also a wonderful way to use up your scraps, and you've seen the sizes that I'm going to be using, so I'm going to be using up a fair chunk of my scraps. I've got a few Liberty Tanner Lawn scraps as well, so I better keep an eye on the time. I've got to take Narrowly to work soon. I want to finish off doing a applique quilt that I'm doing with my Liberty Tanner Lawn, and I'm going to use my leftovers from that to do another quilt, but using like the grandma's flower, or whatever, grandma's garden they call it, or something, quilt. There's a quilt out there that's similar to that. I want to use that, but when I go, and there's a book that I got at the quilt show as well that it had a beautiful hexagon quilt in it as well, so I'm thinking that I'm going to do that in Liberty Tanner Lawn. And I like Liberty Tanner Lawn because it doesn't fray, and I don't end up with bits and pieces in my glue. All right, smashing through this. And tonight, when I've got a book to listen to tonight that I want to finish off, I'll probably sit out here in my dressing gown and in my slippers, and I'll finish off doing my white ones, and then when it comes time to meeting up with the lovelies again, I will have it all sorted and ready to go, and then that way I'm not going to be scooting off to the cutting board and all the rest of it. I can just sit down and chit chat and slowly stitch them together. See, and this one's more like a blender, so I didn't really worry about, this is almost becoming like an I Spy quilt, because we've got like a book and a key and a chair and a scroll, top of the tree. So that's sort of a little bit of a feature that you can do as well. You can make I Spy quilts for the grandkids and stuff like that, or for your kids. All right, well, I've been on here for a long time, an hour and 20 by the looks of it. I think what I will do is I will do a couple more, and we might start wrapping things up, because I just checked the time and I've got about 20 minutes before I've got to take Missy to work, and then I will get on with the rest of my day. I've got some more filming to do today, so I'll get that done. But you can see, like, it's super quick, super quick. Helps if you put a bit more glue on there, Nicole. I'm gonna have to get Brendan to get rid of my squeak on my chair again. It started to appear again this week. See, and that one's got a globe on it, and the chair, and then it's got the White Rabbit's pocket watch, and it's got a, well, it's a little bit more, but their gloves, they look like hands, but they're gloves. It's a little bit creepy. A little bit creepy indeed. The good thing about these pens too is you can get little refills for them, so you don't actually have to buy another pen. You can just get little refills, because they wind out. For those that don't know, they wind out. Like, there's a lot of glue in there, and that little grey bit there, that just pops off, and once you get down to the bottom, when you reach that grey, then you've got no more glue left, and that just pops off, and you pop another one on, so you can keep your pen. The Soline pens, they come with butterflies on them, some have flowers on them, I believe, some are just plain pink. I don't know where my Soline one is. I thought it was in there, but it's not. And as I said, I basically just use the edge of it, and you can see, let me see my camera, see there, I'm just using the edge of it, and I just rotate it around, so there's a nice clean edge. Just put a thin line. You do have to put a little bit on the fabric, but you don't have to worry, because it's acid free, and once you wash your quilt, this will just all wash out. And it's a very minuscule amount. It will not clag up your long arm machine. It won't clag up anything. It won't clag up your needle or anything. So let's see that one. We've got some cups in there and just the corner, and we've got the little mouse with the party hat. So you can see that each one is different, mainly because I want this to look really scrappy, so I didn't want to, and I struggle, as I said, I struggle with fussy cutting, so yeah. All right. Let's see what this one looks like. There we go. And this one's got the hat a little bit more in it, and we've got the bigger, like, how adorable is that little party hat? And then we've got the 3 cups over the side. Now, when I sew these together, I will not lose any of this picture, because we're sewing them really close to the edge. We're essentially stitching across the top, and we're doing a whip stitch. So none of that is going to disappear, because there's my seam, and that's what's going to be showing. All right, let's have a look at this last one. I think this one's going to be off to the side as well. similar to the one that we just showed. Okay, so very similar. So that's how it's going to go into the quilt. Actually, it'll probably sit like that. Yes, it will. It'll sit like that. So there we go. So we've lost a little bit of the cups on this one, but we've still got that little critter, and we can see the tail up here. But we've got a decent amount of that hat. Whereas this one is the same. But this one, we've got more of the... Which way is it going to sit that way? Got more of the teacups and this little critter in it, and we've got, yeah, just the top of that one's hat, and there he's there again. So yeah, all right, let's have a look. Which is the other one I'm going to do? I'm going to see what my cats are going to look like. Now these are at the top, none of these are getting cut like the yellow ones, so what we see is what we get on this one. It's not going to change any once it goes into the quilt. Alright, so we've got some lightning, we've got a mouth, and we've got a cat with one ear. Alright, this one here, I'm pretty sure will be, yeah, these next two will be a lot better. That was just not sort of near the edge of the, yeah. So, we'll place this. And the good thing is I've got a little bit bigger seam allowance than what I need, which means that I can sort of move it a bit, so I can have a little bit more seam allowance on this side and a little bit less on this side, because it's not that we need it to match up or anything, because the edge of the card stock, this edge here is what we're matching up, not the fabric that we've got there, because we're sewing it by hand, so that makes it a lot easier. All right. Got some editing to do this afternoon as well while the girls are at work. There we go. So he's just a little bit off to the side, but that's okay. I can live with that. I'm surprised Nicole hasn't come out here to say, "What are you doing, Mum? Am I going?" Okay, roll that out a little bit, and you just, when you, I probably haven't said this enough, but when you roll your fabric over, you want to make sure that it's really hard up against your cardboard or your cardstock, but without curling the cardstock. If you're using paper or freezer paper, it is a lot easier to curl your edges, and you have to be more mindful of it. On the cardstock, it's not as easy, but it can still happen. You can get a slight curl. So when you roll it back, you want to be firm, but you don't want to be overly firm. And there we go. All right, so I have to take Little Miss, it is now after 1 o'clock. I have to take Little Miss off to work, so I'm going to call it a day. When I get back, I will finish off what I've got to do for the day, and then finish these off tonight and probably a bit tomorrow. But I just wanted to say thanks again for watching my videos and spending time with me each week when I put a video up. If you are looking for a quilt-along, we do actually have a quilt-along happening over in our Facebook group, and all the details are down below. All those videos are unlisted at at the moment. They are actually on YouTube, so you have easy access to them. You don't need to have to log into anywhere or anything like that apart from YouTube. So you will find all of those patterns for free over in our Facebook group if you want to do something like that. If you're a stitcher and you've been watching along, we also have a stitch along happening at the moment too, so you can head over there and get that. It's a row by row as well. And I am looking forward to doing some more tutorials in the future, as well as doing some more of these crafting with me. Basically, I guess it is crafting with Denny's. All right, so that's it from me today. If you've yet to subscribe and you've hung around this long, don't forget to hit that subscribe button and the little bell icon beside it, and then that way you won't miss out on any of my crafty uploads. And for those that are been around for a while, thank you so much. Don't forget to hit that like button for me, and that goes for everybody. Have a great day, everybody. Happy crafting, and I'll see you all again next